Ed's coming back now too.
Well, why is,
Huh.
12, 15, 16.
I think
I
we've
still
got
don't-
Sandra coming in now.
Okay,
Oh,
we got two Ed Welshes.
We got two Eds.
Yeah,
I
Ed's
only have
dialing in
one.
with his phone for audio, I think.
oh,
Does someone want to call Sandra and see what the problem is? She just clicked off and had simply had to get back in.
all right. We should be live streaming on YouTube now.
it says live on YouTube at the top.
Yes, it does.
And we are on.
Has Sandra?
GCC.
Sandra's trying to rejoin. Tom, do you need to let her in to the room?
I haven't seen her yet,
me neither.
which is why it's good to have two sets of eyes. Here she is. Okay, we're letting her in.
CID followed by pound.
There
Here
we
she
go.
is.
Yeah.
There I
Okay.
am. Yay, yay. I went out, I came back in. It just took a long time.
Yeah,
Okay,
We are live streaming now, so.
Thank you.
okay, we're gonna get going
Enter
here.
your
So,
participant
okay.
ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue.
I
Please
think
enter
that's
you
your
Ed.
can't be
password
Ed,
followed by pound.
Ed. Ed,
I don't think he can hear
You
us.
are in the meeting
Ed.
now. There are 18 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. You have been put
Ed.
on hold by the host.
Ed
Do
Welsh,
not listen or talk until the host releases the hold.
Ed.
Hello?
Ed, you cannot be fiddling while we're on the air. You are now on
You should Turn off
YouTube.
your phone.
Well,
Turn
I don't
off.
have the router on my computer.
He's got two devices connected at the same time in close
Yeah.
proximity to each other.
You can't, you have to close one or the other. We can't do the
All right.
meeting with, you know,
Hear you on the computer.
just stick with the computer, Ed. You can watch it later on YouTube.
I just don't have any audio.
Well,
You have to click on the audio.
you have to
Just
click
hang up-
on the
hang up the
microphone at the
phone.
top of the screen, or it might be on your lower side.
You're
Oh, my
all
Lord.
streaming through the computer.
We can hear you. So you must be on the microphone.
Yeah,
Okay,
you-
let's see if he does that. Can you
right,
hear
yeah,
us?
How is that?
There,
Can
that's.
you hear me
fine.
now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay,
perfect.
I can't hear you.
All right, he's-
Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order. It's the May 12th Village of Gates Mills Council meeting on Zoom. It's our second one. We're trying to make it a little more seamless, but we're having a few issues. Roll call.
Allworder,
Here?
Frankel,
Zoomed in, yes. Here.
Reynolds,
Here.
Sog,
Yes.
Turner. Turner,
Yes.
Welsh.
Here?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And I want to welcome, we have Bill Hanna as our law director today. Todd Hunt could not be with us. He had a conflict. So Bill is on with us and can assist as needed. First thing on our agenda is minutes from the April 14th meeting.
I make a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second,
Motion by Reynolds, second by Frankel.
Beth?
Allworder,
Yes.
Frankel,
yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Sog,
Yes.
Turner. Yes. Welsh.
Abstain?
Whitney.
Yes.
Okay. Next is pay ordinance 1237 for $319,545.23.
I have one question. On Inglebrook Construction, what was that for? And I'm wondering how do we go about picking like what construction companies use?
That was
Well-
for the hot water heater at Saras. And they have completely reimbursed us for it at this point.
It actually came up kind of weird looking, and I think that's why Janet flagged it. But it was, we issued and paid for it, and then they reimbursed us. So it had to go in and it had to come out. But it's been fully paid by Saras.
It was listed though as a police, like a police department entry door.
They're on there twice.
Well, that's a different one. We have that one also. We replaced two doors, actually. Dave, you want to talk to that?
Yeah, we replaced two doors. One was for the police department down at the basement in the back door. The salt had rotted out the sill and the bottom of the door. And then we replaced a door upstairs, the entrance up to the second floor, just to provide a little more control of people just walking up to the second floor.
That's my only question.
Any other questions?
No.
Motion?
Move to
So
approve.
moved.
Second,
Second.
Beth?
I
Wait,
have a motion by
Janet?
Frankel and a second by Sog.
Allworder,
Yes.
Frankel,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Sog,
yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes.
And just so you know, I'm having Janet say who makes the motion and who seconds because I only have 9 people on a screen too.
Okay, perfect. Next is financial statement and treasurer's report. Tim?
Okay. Our revenues through April are generally on budget and slightly ahead of last year. Likewise, our operating expenses are within budget for all departments. Total reserves at month end stand at $5,444,000, which is down $221,000 from this time last year. Our balance in the Ancora account was 4.85 million, including accrued interest. Interest income over the next 12 months is projected to be approximately $100,000. During the March council meeting, council requested that the treasurer work with our departmental managers to identify costs that could be deferred without impacting the safety of our residents or our staff. With in light of expectations that the village will suffer reductions in various revenue streams as a result of the economic impact of the COVID-19.
Ed, you have to turn off your phone. You're still on the phone.
There, he muted it.
Okay, please continue, Tim. Sorry.
Okay, I will get to those deferrals a little bit later in my report. I've got a few other things I'd like to talk about first. And then because I think that the deferrals will cause a lot of conversation, I'm going to save that part for last. Well, we've been advised by RETA, the agency that we will soon use for municipal income tax collections. Delay in tax filing deadlines will have an impact on collections this year. I will email the letter received from RETA estimating the impact to be as much as $200,000 in the current year. I will also submit the letter for the minutes. We also expect that both filing delays and potential defaults will impact real estate tax receipts. In our long-range plan projections, we estimate this will reduce tax receipts by 5% in this year. We will monitor, of course, tax receipts very closely each month. In preparation for our long-range planning committee's work, Janet has prepared a 5-year projection of revenue and expenses for the village with guidance on assumptions from Chip and the operating manager. It is important to note that this is not a forecast. The projection shows what the finances of the village would look like through 2025 in the absence of any actions from council or other changes to the overall economic environment. It will be used as a base case to help the long-range planning committee assess what impacts their recommended actions might have. Major assumptions used in the projection include our expenses subject to inflation will increase at 2% throughout the 5-year period. Expenditures for vehicle replacement, fire trucks, police cars, plow trucks have been scheduled out on a normal replacement cycle for each type of vehicle. Projecting salaries to increase at 1% each year, with benefit costs to increase at 4% each year. We are projecting slag and salt purchases at 100,000 each year. On the revenue side, we're projecting income taxes down 200,000 in 2020, then restored to previous levels in 2021 through 2025. Real estate taxes down 5% in 2020, then restored to previous levels in 2021 to 2025. We also are projecting fines this year will be reduced by 50% and then restored to previous levels in 2021 through 2025. Also, I would point out that our rental income goes down in 2023 through the end of the period. This is the result of a cell tower contract expiring. We've not assumed it will be renewed, but realistically, you would expect that it would be. The projection includes an analysis of what will happen to our reserves under this set of assumptions. It demonstrates that in the absence of any action, we have a roughly $500,000 structural annual deficit that will, by 2025, reduce our reserves by about 50% to about $2.5 million, somewhat less than 6 months operations. We will likely refine this base case projection as our long-range planning process unfolds. At our last council meeting, council requested that we draw up a list of budgeted expenditures that could be potentially deferred if village revenues look to be severely impacted by the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our managers have identified approximately $640,000 in budgeted expenses that could be deferred. The bulk of these are in capital expenditures, $422,000, and service department budget, $184,000. Large deferrals in these areas include much of our 2020 road paving program, $167,000, the Mayfield Road intersection reconstruction at $176,000, and a new F-550 plow truck at $93,000. All outside contractor work right now has currently been deferred. Other actions include reduced police overtime and part-time, largely due to reduced community activities, deferred training of police officers, deferred uniform purchases for police officers. Our fire department has deferred expenditures on portable radios, SCBA, TIC upgrades, one set of personal protective equipment, all of which totals $31,500. I am assured by our fire chief that these expenditures, while ultimately necessary, do not impact the safety of our firefighters in the short term. I will email the full list to council members after the meeting, and I will also submit it for the minutes. That concludes my report. Are there any questions or comments?
I'll make a comment on the capital improvement project. I've sent, with Chris's help, we've sent to Phil Robinson, our District 6 representative all the information on that road project so that to try to see if we can get additional funding from ODOT, if he can help us with that. We had sent it to Dolan, and I think he's finance committee, and I know he's extremely busy with everything. So I thought Phil might be able to help us a little easier on this to see if we can get more of it funded. I hate to let it go because it's a safety issue. And on the other hand, ODOT was going to fully fund everything from 21 on. So it's kind of like, what do we do? If we let it go, I have a feeling we're not going to get it back, or we wouldn't qualify for the next round of funding with that project. And the other thing is on street repairs, I encourage Dave to, if in the annual budget, there's things that our guys do, like street repair, which is the crack sealing and whatnot, we should go ahead with that because it's our guys doing the work. The 30,000 and the deferred is actually the products and whatnot they use to crack seal. And of course, we want to keep them busy and keep things going forward. Chip's going to speak to the roads, I think.
I think just as an aside real quick, I just received an email from ODOT in the last couple of days asking about, and they sent it out to everybody that has safety projects that are slated to be constructed this year, whether or not they feel they're still in a position to move forward with it. Mayor, we had talked, I hope we'd hear something back from Phil, but if we want to delay it by a year or push it back because of what's going on, I don't think we'll get a lot of pushback from ODOT because I think they're having this problem all over the state with the pandemic. And then also, I think if we're going to defer, because we do have a $90,000 grant from Cuyahoga County for material for road program work. If we're not going to do any road program work this year, I will ask the county, and I'm sure they're going to get the same request from other communities about deferring that reimbursement until next year as well. And then if we can effectively take both and push them into next year to buy ourselves some more time, I can attempt to do that with both entities, ODOT and the county.
Why would we defer the payment from the county? I'd like their money.
We have to do the work. We'd have to do about $180,000 worth of work in order to get 90,000 from the county.
Oh.
So we got to spend 90.
Yeah, I'd like to make two comments. As far as the road program, regardless of whether we were going forward or not, Dave, Chris, and I, and the service department staff who are out on the roads all the time, we're going to assess our roads and prioritize what's the highest priority, second highest priority, third highest priority. I'd like to proceed with that. Let's say that we conclude that road X really, we think really does need work this year. Then we will come back to council, suggest that council members go and look at that road and see if the rest of you agree. And the second priority, we may take the same stance or may say, you know, we think we could go another year, or by the time we get to our third road or fourth road, or maybe not till we get to our 10th road, but to give all of council a chance to see what, and if we think that every road may be fine, we could go another year. We'll still point out, while we think this is a road that needs a lot of attention, we think we can go another year. Just to open this up so that you get a sense of what another year might or might not look like, so we can make a decision on an informed basis. We're not going to spend the money. We do want to do this very soon. We clearly got bogged down last year and ended up doing the paving in December. So we want to move it a little sooner if we're going to do any of the road program. But I would think, Dave, I haven't talked to you about this, or Chris, but I would think we could do this in the next 2 or 3 weeks and come back to council in advance and have them look at the roads and maybe talk about it in the June meeting, July at the latest.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I can definitely be ready with commentary on the roads that we had near the top of the list already in that timeframe.
So that would be my recommendation for how we decide. Because I certainly don't think I'm in favor of spending zero, but if we think we can push off, I understand it means that we're going to have to do it next year. It's not like we can avoid it. It's just a question of when. But maybe we can at least cut down, recognizing what Chris said, that around 50% of the dollars we get reimbursed. We don't see that money for another year or two, which, by the way, Chris and Janet, I'd like to see a list of those dollars that we are expecting to get paid back from prior years, even though we may not know the exact amount. What roughly? I know we don't know when we're going to get it, but I know we don't keep our books that way. We keep them on a cash basis. But what is our quote receivables from the county? Because
I think it's just the 80,000 from last year, right, Chris?
Yes, it should be. We got the prior year, the beginning of or the first quarter of last year, I think. So yeah, it should only be for the work that we did in 2019.
Did we get all the money for the work at on Mayfield there up near Hillcrest for that water main break or whatever? I thought that we hadn't gotten paid on that yet.
We have not been paid by that, but that's the Cleveland Water.
No, that's
Cleveland Water.
Well, okay, I didn't mean to just mean the county then. I'm sorry. Just all of these monies that are out there that we hope we're going to collect. I'd like to see what that list amounts to, because I think it's not insubstantial. So
I think that's it right there.
Yeah, those two.
Okay. As far as the Mayfield Road intersection, again, as Karen said, it's really a dilemma because we got qualified in 2019, the project was moved up to do in 2020. It wasn't really going to be done until 2021, and then they moved it up. And then they came out and said, oh, by the way, all projects awarded in 20 that get done in 21, we'll pay 100%. We're a pretty small community to have to pay 176,000. So I hear you, Karen, and I understand it's safety, but Chris, if you really think we could roll it out to 2021 and get 100% reimbursement,
we have to reapply. That's the catch.
Yeah, I think if we push it out because of the pandemic and issues with local funding, I don't think that's going to change ODOT's position on the 90-10 split on the project, because it was awarded in 2019 and that's their litmus test for funding. It was awarded in 2019, regardless of when it's going to be constructed.
Okay, I understand.
Just so you know, if we reapply, we likely would not get the funding because the intersection is not ranked high enough in the current list of dangerous intersections in order to warrant funding.
Well, then how did we get it so quickly when we applied in 2019 and got it awarded in 19 for 20?
Because at that point in time, the intersection was ranked on the dangerous intersection list with the state. And now it has fallen lower on the list, so we would likely not be funded if we were to pull it and reapply.
Tough decision.
Other things came to other things got more important.
Exactly.
Ours
right.
rolls off, other accidents happen, so ours is older and it rolls off.
Tough decision, but.
Would it be helpful, Tim, to reconvene the Finance and Budget Committee to kind of look at some of these issues and see if a project like that could be done this year so that we don't lose that project?
We can certainly do it in finance. My personal view would be that it's better in the Services Committee, where we have the expertise and the grant expertise to do it. But what I would suggest is what I would like to do, actually, many of these expenditures that are on this list don't actually take place until the fall. And so what I would suggest is that we get the Finance or Budget Committee together late June, maybe early July, where I think we'll have a little more clarity on our revenue situation, and then review the list of deferrals, and maybe this is a potential list, and then make some solid recommendations at that point as to, well, let's do this one and not that.
If we're gonna make a determination of go or no go on the signalization project at Mayfield and Chagrin River Road, we may need to make a decision before that. Because ODOT will need to know because of their advertising and award timeline in order to get the project constructed this fall. But I'll get those critical dates and get them out so that you know what they are.
Well, why don't we at least do this? Let's, you go out and get those dates. I think Chip is head of the services committee, and of course, the mayor and I would like to participate in that analysis, and then maybe we have to make the call.
Okay.
I had one other thing on police salaries and wages. Greg, I've read your comment here. I'm wondering if you can be a little more definitive. You have a budget out there, and I'm wondering if you can quantify the change in budget for the reasons that you've cited. We do have the school resource officer, obviously, that we've already had the benefit of because there's no school. And as you said, there's less other work going on. So I'm assuming we have less part-time and less overtime. And I'm wondering if you can give us a more specific adjustment to the budget number. You're on mute. You're on mute, Greg.
I'm sorry. So I did not quantify it. You're correct. So I was looking at those numbers here today, and where we stand today as compared to last year, just to give you a snapshot for comparison. So we're actually down about 2/3 from overtime through April this year as opposed to last year. And we're also down right now, I think it's about 850 part-time hours. So, you know, I didn't specifically do the math on that. So if we, you know, and I could, give us an idea of, you know, at this pace where we would be at. So I do expect us to be under there. But of course, there are some variables with that. One of the things that Janet got from me here today, we did have our main part-time police officer who worked 1,200 hours, resigned and is en route to Florida. And he was a retired officer who was available kind of whenever we needed him. So really what we have right now are part-time officers who work mainly full-time in other departments. So they're very limited in their availability. So, you know, it's always balanced. So we're going to pick up on some of that with, like you mentioned, SRO Kimbrough helping out right now and, you know, through the summer, but he also takes his vacation time and elected time off in the summer too. So, you know, I don't exactly know how things are going to play out, but I do certainly expect our overtime to be reduced along with our part-time hours. So, you know, I could try to quantify it a little bit for you tomorrow if you're looking for specific numbers, specific projections. But, you know, just my rough, you know, as I sit here right now, I think I'm pretty confident saying our overtime would probably be reduced, you know, 40% from last year. That's what I'm hoping. And part-time hours, we will be down. But once again, we haven't had much in the way of elected time off to date yet either. Things get heavy in the summertime with that. So I could do the best I can, but I'll try to get you some numbers over tomorrow.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Any other questions? Are you end of the report, Tim?
Yes, I'm done.
I guess I have a
Okay.
question.
Okay.
In order not to reduce operating expenses by reducing people, it may be, since Greg brings up the issue of vacation time, that may be something we want to find out if we could defer vacation rather than having furloughs of some kind if we get really stuck. Just a thought. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know whether we're permitted to do that, Bill. I don't know whether you could comment, but it's something to think about.
I don't know the answer off the top of my head, unfortunately, but we can take that back and report back to you.
I'm not
It's something to
recommending
think
it.
about, I guess.
Just putting it on the table along with all of our other considerations.
Okay, anything else? Okay, we're going to move on. Mayor's report. Well, we haven't had any events or anything to really report other than what we reported on last month. We're waiting to see what's going to happen. Our camp people are still out there hoping that something will be able to go forward. Pushing it out is what they think, but they can push it out because they don't think school's going to start when it's supposed to either. So we'll keep you posted on that. The end of May, early June, the entire community, I spoke about it in my letter in the pink sheet, will receive a letter from myself and Rita. And it's a good letter. It answers a lot of questions. And if the answer is not within the letter, it refers to their website. And they've really, I mean, you'll be able to pay online and free filing and e-payment and free e-filing. It's quite interesting. They certainly have a lot more capabilities. So that will come out the end of May, first part of June. Every Monday in the afternoon, Janet has been on a call with Rita in anticipation of our move. Janet, is there anything you want to add about starting to work with them?
No, they're very, very good. The only thing is right now, CCA is only working in their offices, I guess, 2 days a week. So they are very far behind in their processing of payments. This may require us to have a fourth data download from CCA. So, but that won't affect our changeover date at all. That's where that stands. There's
And
also
so far, they're a pleasure to
several-
work with.
several more communities are actually getting ready to make changes. Move from CCA
to Rita. Interesting. Okay.
They may put some
what
on the
else?
cheat sheet as well.
Okay. As far as SARS, they're not going to open this next week, other than how they're serving customers now, which is takeout only. They look to open sometime in June. They're kind of taking a reserved look at this to see what happens with the opening of other restaurants and whatnot, because, you know, I mean, they don't want any problems coming to Gates Mills. So you'll hear they'll get information out. And Cindy Hallie's is opened as of today by appointment only. So there'll be a little bit more movement down in the village. Mayfield City Schools, Sander picked up for me. All the communities have signage honoring the 2020 graduates from Mayfield High School. Ours is in the little park across from Town Hall. All 4 communities did it, and I hope you'll see it. It's something that we can do for the graduates. They're missing out on a lot, unfortunately. That's really all I have for announcements.
Karen, may
We'll move. Say it again?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Great. What are our feelings? Well, first of all, do you have any information about when the library will reopen?
Well, they said that they were going to, there was something that came out that they were looking and waiting for what the state was going to do. And it looked like maybe they'd be opening toward the end of May, but haven't heard a word since that. So I
Okay.
really can't answer you.
And secondly, what are your feelings about the 4th of July parade? And when do you think you need to?
Well,
make a
you're going to be
decision about
hearing
it?
a lot of information about that. Chip, do you want
I will
to speak to
comment on
that,
it,
please,
Karen, yeah.
for the improve?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll wait till Chip's report.
All right.
Okay. That's all I have. So we will move to clerk's report.
Just real quick, in my driving through the village, I did see the Mayfield Senior sign. It looks great. I also noticed that Janet's car has been parked outside of the town hall. way beyond her normal hours, including Saturday. I think she's been doing a great job, and I think all the other department heads have too, but I did notice Janet's car.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good
Thank you.
job, Janet.
Helping with all of this, both the long-range plan and helping with the deferred expenses, but in the midst of all this, you've been coping with an audit as well.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been a fun time.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Any idea when the audit's going to end?
I don't know, doing it the way that we're doing it, it could be forever.
Oh, dear.
At least you're laughing.
Persevere,
One day at a
Janet. We
time.
really appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
We do appreciate it all, everything, from everybody, really.
Right,
Okay,
right.
so we're going to move to committee reports, and I'm going to give it to Chip for the Improvement Society for the 4th
All
of
right,
July.
so there is lots of work going on what to do on July 4th. If statewide, legally, we could do a parade, but it has to be social distanced. That gets to be complicated. We are certainly trying to preserve that option, but obviously people would be spaced apart. You have complexities like the Mayfield band probably can't play because they haven't rehearsed. They haven't been doing anything to get ready. Just you break down the elements of the parade. It probably, even if we could do it, it might not be exactly the same. So as a fallback or an alternative, which we think may be fairly likely, we are planning a variety of things. Some of it will be a virtual parade. There will be a website to go out to. We may make it live on the 4th of July so that you can see it, so to speak, firsthand, and then you can see it later if you missed it. We're having videos of past parades. We are evaluating we've got Gates Mills Elementary, we've got Mayfield High School, we've got Gilmore, all working on elements of both putting a video together and there's each grade of the elementary school is going to do something that we could have on the virtual 4th of July day. We are probably going to proceed to have a contest, so to speak, to encourage people to decorate their property. It obviously would need to be by the road. We're not going to be suggesting people drive into your driveway, but to give out awards, we'll have the theme. It'll all be going out in the pink sheet here shortly and other announcements. But and then we will post where the winners are and where the various decorated houses are, encourage people to drive around to look at them. We may have other elements instead of having a parade where all the residents, come out and watch the parade go by. Maybe we'll have antique cars and some other things, and we'll drive around the village and people can come out onto their own property. So Clark Langmack is leading the effort. We have Sandra Turner's very active, and the committee, and there will be something. I think the likelihood of it being close to a traditional 4th of July parade is pretty remote, but there will definitely be more than just a flyer saying, please remember the 4th. So can't tell you more. It's unfolding as we speak, but a lot of work's going on.
I would encourage anybody, wait, Chip, before you leave the 4th, anybody that has good pictures, if you could scan them into your computer and email them to Sandra or myself or Chip, that would be terrific.
Yes. And a video. If you have videos, that would be.
And
equally.
video, yeah.
Do we have any input from other communities that have 4th of July parades, what they're up to?
I'm not aware. I'm not sure.
Some have
Nancy.
canceled.
I've heard
Already?
that I heard that like Memorial Day parade.
Yes.
Some communities were considering virtual parades. Something like that. One community I heard wasn't having a parade, but they were going to have a drive-in movie. like in their, find a big parking lot and have a community sponsored drive-in, stay in your car, watch a movie kind of thing. So,
Maybe we could have a
I
movie of
know.
fireworks.
You have changed the Boston time to Chagrin Falls completely. So, I mean, I realize that's a little sooner of a, you know, a date, a time frame.
Right.
But they totally canceled Blossom. So.
Okay. Yeah, Julie Hewlett from the Chagrin Valley Times, she's actually interviewing Clark because of what we're planning for the 4th of July. So I guess in
Great.
terms of surrounding communities, they might not be doing as much as we are because she's interviewing Clark and us for this feature. So Mary, to your point, we may be doing a little bit more than some of the other, or I'm sorry, Nancy, we may be doing more than some of the other communities around here.
Okay.
Okay. One other thing, the Improvement Society took on to reach out to the other schools that have seniors that are Gates Mills residents, and we're collecting the names. So we want to add that to so all of the private schools and the like. So we'll have a list there to post along with the Mayfield School seniors. So
That's a nice thought. I'm
that's
glad you
my-
thought
Oh,
of that.
good. Any other committee reports? Nobody? Sandra, nothing? Okay.
Nope.
We'll move on to Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor.
Somebody say something.
Everybody should have received a copy.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay? Everybody should have received a copy of my report. I'll be happy to
Yes.
respond to any questions you might have. Just everything that I mentioned is really related around the pandemic here. Certainly our officers are, maintaining the social distancing with the public where we can. We've had chief meetings throughout the areas, and obviously traffic has been reduced all over the place. I think anybody who has been keeping an eye on the newspapers and the media outlets has noticed that. Just try and do our part. We're going to start to gradually get more involved back into the flux with traffic enforcement. That doesn't mean we're not doing anything. We're being visible, we're seeing at intersections, but of course the vehicular traffic's been way down too. We've had very few accidents. It's been a ghost town at night for the most part. We have seen some traffic pick back up in the past week, so that's good. But we're really practicing, we're really following Governor DeWine's recommendations right now as far as social distancing. And, hopefully as things gradually open back up, we'll start to make that more of a priority. Now, with that said, traffic has been down, but more serious calls have gone up. That's not a surprise. I expected that. Domestic violence calls, we've had more than we usually have, family issues, and more people at home now. So I don't think that's catching anybody off guard. Business is a little bit different here right now. And you can see right there, if everybody's looking at it, we've been taking advantage of a service available to member agencies of Chagrin Valley Dispatch. They have a $28,000 Moonbeam ultraviolet system that disinfects cars and surfaces and everything. So we've taken a few of our cars up there at Orange, usually on Saturdays when we transport prisoners, or if we've had, courtesy rides to people, calls they were responding to that we have to take people somewhere. We've been trying to get those cars up there to get, service so we can try to do everything we can to keep our officers safe. So, we're in good shape right now with our PPE equipment. Chief Robbins has been very, very helpful with that. So we've had gracious donations from the community. We had a resident from Kenwin Place drop off some masks today, some additional cloth masks. So we've been receiving a lot of support from our community, which is, great to see.
Nice.
Greg,
questions
could you
for-
comment on- I do. I was wondering if Greg could comment on two things. One, when there are shift changes, are you cleaning the cars between officers? And what precautions are taken for
Yes, that's
their
good.
coming to work?
Yes, so we have a directive out right now. So officers, when they're before and after shift. So, we're staying on top of that. So it could very well be where an officer is getting off shift, he's cleaning his car out, he's disinfecting it, and the officer coming on will do the same. So they're hitting it twice. Now, sometimes an officer, ending the shift and that car is not being used for the next shift. So, in that case, we're not hitting it twice, but the guys, that place is spotless downstairs. The squad room, the 5 o'clock car is responsible to kind of clean the area up. Gene's been doing a great job keeping us stocked with Clorox cleanups, wipes, and guys seem to like that, gets in the keyboards, and so we've done a really good job as far as that goes. Guys have masks, they're utilizing those. I really feel like our guys are taking it very seriously, and I don't think we could do a whole lot more, to be very honest with you. We're maintaining that social distancing with residents.
Are you
We go to
taking
their house.
temperatures?
If we have to go inside, obviously, we take, the precautions that we have to. But, it's not always possible. We have them step outside. We've taken reports over the phone. We have them come outside. So we're doing everything that we can to keep our officers safe and to the public.
And are you taking
Okay.
daily temperatures?
Any other
when
questions for-
people come in for work?
Yes, we have the officers are doing that before their shift and during. We have a thermometer downstairs, and we also have one upstairs, for the general staff, and the service department's been using it, and the administrative staff around the station. So everything's gone well so far.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Greg. We'll move to the
Thank you.
service department. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. Members of council, you should have received a copy of my monthly report. I'm happy to answer any questions. I would like to just make one quick note. I know Karen, Sandra, Janet, I don't know if you received it, Chris, from Alicia Beatty with the Chagrin River Watershed Partners. She is leaving for a new position in Minneapolis. So I did send her an email from us congratulating her. She's been a tremendous help with us. I've been there and doing the teen grant project. She was there helping us with all the financial state things. So I did tell with her, and she will truly be missed, and to please contact us if she's ever back in Cleveland again visiting. So she's a wonderful person and will be missed, but I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Dave, I did have a question.
She is.
On
And
the,
thanks for
you
doing
have
that,
7
Dave.
building permits.
Larry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, my question for Dave is, you have 7 building permits in a new house, and the total value is $708,000. Is that a typo?
Yeah.
It seems like with a new house and
No. Well, the
so
new
that
house.
includes the new house?
I think the value was like $550,000, and the remaining permits were probably something like an electrical permit for $100. I mean, the value, it just depends on what the other permits are.
Okay.
And the permit for the house would not have a land value in it, so that makes it less, even though once it gets taxed, it'll all be there.
True. Correct.
That was all I had a question.
Does that answer it, Larry?
That concludes my.
Sure does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dave. Next is Fire Department, Tom.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. You should have received a copy of the fire department report for April. There's just a couple things that I would add before entertaining any questions. The old fire truck, the one that we just recently replaced, is up for auction. We have not met the reserve yet for it, so it's only been about a week. It should end on May 20th. But what we're hearing from Gov Deals, where we have it listed, is that with finances the way they are, we might have it on there for longer. It doesn't increase our cost to continue to advertise that. Fire department conducted its first Zoom training on May 5th, and that worked out actually very well. Fire department is back up to full manpower after having 3 people that were in isolation. So we have everyone back and on board and responding to calls. And in my council report, you will notice that Assistant Chief Tom Majeski just completed his 25 years with Gates Mills Fire Department. So I think it's important to note that. So are there any
Give
other
him our
questions?
best.
Very
Those
nice.
Those people that were in isolation, were they in isolation because they were exposed or because they had been tested? They were under isolation by the county, Cuyahoga County Board of Health. It was a mandated isolation.
Did they test positive or they were just exposed?
Both.
I will not answer that question.
Oh, okay.
For
That's right.
HIPAA reasons.
HIPAA laws.
Right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah. Tom, Tom, this is Sandra. In addition to what Greg talked about in terms of keeping the police safe, is there anything in addition to that that you're doing or have to do with the fire equipment or the firemen and women?
We
Well, I guess men.
instituted a number of new policies right when this was coming out, actually earlier than a lot of other people. And the way we do business in the fire department has changed dramatically. Crews coming into the fire station before they board apparatus have to put on masks. They clean their hands with sanitizer. They wear protective masks because obviously when they get in the fire truck, they're less than 6 feet apart. They continue to wear those masks on the calls until if they had put on one of our SCBA masks, then they would obviously take the surgical mask off, and then there are actually more surgical masks and cleaning products in all of the fire apparatus. So everything is cleaned. After every call, everything is wiped down. It's actually a pretty long process because there's so many things that you touch that you don't realize you touched. And it has to be disinfected. So, so we have a lot of new policies that I hope will go away someday. But they seem to be working quickly.
Good. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else for questions?
Do you have a COVID count for the village?
I did.
Do you have a COVID count for the village?
I want to know what.
Do you have a COVID count for the village? How many people we have here that are?
Ed, is that you?
I think Ed asked that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I can too. It's, the dispatch center is aware of the addresses in the village where people have tested positive.
That information is relayed to the safety forces only when they are responding to those addresses. No names are given, again, for HIPAA law compliance.
No. I was just curious if we had a count.
Ed,
how
I
many
can
we
just
had.
kind of
What
add
was
something. This is Greg. Well, this is Greg here. I can kind of jump in here a little bit. So you may or may not know, but on Fridays, the Cuyahoga County Board of Health posts the number of cases by zip code. So last Friday, it showed there's a range. And in our 44040 zip code, showed between 5 and I think it was 12 cases. Now, what that means is Mayfield Village, parts of Mayfield Village could be included in there because everything off of Wilson Mills and those side streets up to 91, Mayfield Village uses the Gates Mills mailing address, zip code of 44040. So that'll give you some insight. I've heard of cases down here. Certainly we fall in that range somewhere, but I don't know the exact numbers.
So between
Just
5
a
and
quick
12
side
in
comment.
the
One thing about all of this data,
440 zip code. What's that?
Thank you. Yeah, we've been lucky.
one comment.
Yes.
When you say like
I say
12,
thank you. We've been lucky so far.
just
Something happened.
be
Chip,
mindful when you see
I,
5 to 12 cases, they're not coming through. So,
Well, you're kind of cutting in and out.
yeah,
Give it another try.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was just going to comment that one of the problems with some of the data is when somebody was tested positive 3 weeks ago, it stays on the list and they could have recovered by now, or quite frankly, might have died. But the point is that, we may or may not have 5 to 12 active cases at this point. Just be mindful of some of the data. So that's since we started tracking in mid-March.
Right.
So
good point.
That concludes.
Anybody
the
else?
report.
Questions? No other questions for Tom? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to ordinance 2020-9, an ordinance adopting new chapter 1176, riparian setbacks of the codified ordinance of the village. Anne?
I
Anne?
believe this is third reading for yes. I believe this is third reading, and if I'm right, even though we do third reading, we will not act on it at this point. The riparian setbacks need to go to planning and zoning and then come back to the village, and we need to reschedule some education and reschedule time on the website with the ordinance for villagers to weigh in. So if I'm correct, Bill, the reading of the third reading is just the process going, but we're not acting on it.
That is my understanding, yes.
I think that it would be challenging to have the discussion on riparian setbacks at a Zoom planning and zoning meeting, although I'm more than willing to do it if you would like. It just seems it is more challenging to have a back and forth kind of discussion over Zoom.
I agree.
And I'll do it.
I've been speaking with Kimberly Brewster at the Chagrin River Watershed Partners because I'm hoping that Kim will be able to attend the planning and zoning when it is discussed because she's so knowledgeable. So just please keep me posted when we think we might be able to address it. So do I need to reread the heading on this just for a third reading?
I think Karen,
Karen covered it, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's good for now. Until the governor says we can meet more than 10 people, we're kind of stuck.
Well, I think planning and
Because I
zoning
think it
is
will,
10 people. So we could meet in the community house if we wanted to try to do a social distance meeting. I don't know if anyone has done that. If you're concerned about moving it along, but I feel that the community meeting isn't going to happen anytime soon, and you certainly don't want to do that
Right.
on Zoom. So I don't really feel the need to accelerate the process for planning and zoning unless we actually meet for another reason.
well, it depends if
Not-
there's something else that we need to go to planning and zoning that
Right.
we need to do, then I would. Do we know, Dave, at this point, if you're gonna have something for next month?
Potentially, yes. There's a resident who might need either a setback or some type of variance for a structure up on Echo Glen. So I'm working with him now. I'll know within the next week or so if it's something in addition, that we would have. We are shooting for next week's historic board subcommittee meeting to have a social distancing meeting in the community building basement. Something that probably maybe each member will have their own table. And then obviously send out the information early digitally so everybody has a chance to review it at their leisure, so that hopefully the meeting, if there is one, can go with as few people as possible and as quickly as possible. So as far as planning and zoning, probably by next week I would have a better.
Well, I assume they're also going to be wearing masks.
Okay. Yes. But we've
Correct,
got
I
to.
would believe so.
Internet's having a
Oh,
problem.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is, I think.
yeah, people are cutting in and out.
It
Anything
just popped up on my
else?
screen that the internet was unstable.
Yeah. Some
Karen,
are
if
in
there's no
slow
business
motion.
from the
I
audience-
guess.
We have,
Mayor,
Karen,
can
if
you hear
there's
me?
no
Pardon me,
business from the
somebody said
audience, I will
something.
make a motion to adjourn.
we,
Hang on. Go ahead, Tom.
Greg, where are you?
we do have
I'm
11,
here. Can you hear me?
You have questions?
Choppy.
Tom, are there questions online?
no, there are none. We have 11 people watching right now, the live stream, but there haven't been any questions other than people that wanted the passcode to get in.
I
Okay.
have one
Well,
comment.
Greg, were you
Mayor,
trying
if
to
I
say
could,
something?
just give you,
I just,
yeah, I was, and I made a mistake, so I'm actually looking.
Well, let
at the
Greg
Board
talk.
of-
I cut him
for
off. Wait a minute.
clarification purposes. So I'm actually on the Board of,
What?
I'm actually on the Board of Health webpage right now. And as of Friday, May 8th, the numbers are between 10 and 28. A week prior, it was between
Wow.
5 and 23. So the numbers right now, as of Friday, were showing between.
So
10 and
as of
28.
4/28, it's how many?
44040. As of 5/8, last Friday, between 10 and 28, it's showing. And those are lab confirmed and probable COVID-19 cases. But I would also point
Okay.
out by comparison,
Okay.
our neighbors to the south, 44022, which I believe encompasses, Hunting Valley, Moreland Hills, Chagrin. They're showing 29 to 52.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
Wow.
Every time we see that
It's out there.
the
It's
county,
scary.
every time we see the county map. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, Larry, you were trying to say something?
Yeah, my
Larry?
internet actually keeps cutting in and out. I just wanted to remind people that are watching that tomorrow is the originally scheduled recycling seminar, but it will be web-based, and it's very interesting. I watched it last Wednesday. They had a first showing, and I encourage people to take a look at that. And you can go to the Gates Mills calendar, and on the web, they have the web information there.
Okay, anything else?
What time, what
guess
time
we
is it,
will-
Larry? What time is that meeting?
I believe it's 6 or 6:30.
16?
But it's on the website,
Okay.
so.
Jean says 6.
Here, I'll, with,
Okay. 6?
I think it's 6:30, actually. 6? Here it says 6:30 on my phone. So
Check the website.
Okay, good. Thank you.
check the website.
He's saying
Okay.
six.
Okay. Okay.
You're
Having a
at
few
6 and
issues.
we'll be through your half hour early.
Anybody else? Can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
I
So
move to
moved.
adjourn the meeting.
Moved. Wow, that was everybody. I think Mary had a
Second.
Reynolds. A second?
I'll
Who
I
second.
made
is-
a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So,
Ed Bob
everybody seconded.
I got it.
Aye.
Allworder,
Okay.
Frankel,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Reynolds, Sog,
Yes.
Yes.
Turner, Welch,
Yes.
Whitney.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We'll get better with time, I'm sure of it. I don't know what the connection problem is.
Stay
But
safe,
anyway,
everybody.
thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.